There was a car accident involving one of the Georgia players and one of their
like
team
staff members.
team personnel. This female, and they both died in the car accident. Recently, it came out that the driver of the other vehicle that was partially to blame for this crash was Jalen Carter. Welcome back to another edition of the Raider Take podcast. I'm Mike McDonald. With me, as always, is Andy McDonald, and we are officially into Combine Week. We've got players reporting to Indianapolis. We've got Derek Carr trying to take over the Combine. A lot of things to get into. A lot of big draft player news we will get into in a minute. But Andrew, before that, how are you doing, my sir?
I'm great, man. But before I say how I'm doing, I just want to wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday, March 1st. Yeah. So one of our best friends, we've known him since he was 7. He just in a group text texted Mike a happy birthday.
That was so awesome. I saw that text and I was like, what? And then I realized it was March 1st. I was like, oh, okay. So
I was waiting.
Easy mistake. I'll be honest with you.
I want it. It's not though.
Easy mistake for someone I've known before I turned double digits.
Yeah,
we've known forever.
It's easy mistake that you for a dude that you met last year. You're like, yeah, my birthday's on the 1st of the Q1. You'd be like, okay, it might be March.
Yeah,
this
easy mistake for an office affiliate.
Yeah, it's like Kevin's known us for like 25 years. But anyways, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm excited. The NFL Combine is this week, so you get to see a lot of guys run the 40s, do the 3-cone, everything like that. So more importantly, I think there's a lot of stuff to unveil about rumors and where the quarterback's going, like who tests well, things like that. So it's an exciting week. We had kind of like the dog days of winter recently, where it was just like, yeah, so the Chiefs are still the champions, and let's talk about some needs, but we finally have some combine news to report on, and then also get into free agency as well prior to the draft. So I'm good, man.
One thing that popped up recently is kind of a wild incident that involved Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter. I will let you get into that. I know you have a statement. We had a situation basically where after the championship game, right? I believe the championship game, there was a car accident involving one of the Georgia players and one of their team
staff members,
team personnel. This female, and they both died in the car accident. Recently, it came out that the driver of the other vehicle that was partially to blame for this crash was Jalen Carter. And so I'll let you take it from here. I believe you got a statement or whatnot, but this news just kind of recently dropped. Obviously, a lot big in regards to the number one player in this draft. Arguably the best talent coming out of this year's draft. Getting a little hot water. So.
Yeah. So as of this morning, Jalen Carter, who's projected to be really the number 1 overall pick. As far if the Bears kept their pick, he would probably be that guy. If not, he's a top 3 pick. This report came out, so I have a report from the police, the DA, whatever you want to call him, and they said, as a result of the ongoing investigation into the January 15th, 2023 fatal crash that occurred in the 900 block of Barnett's whatever, has secured an arrest warrant for Jalen Carter, 21, for reckless driving and racing. The investigation found that Chandler LaCroix, driver of the Ford Expedition, and Jalen Carter, driver of the Jeep, were operating their vehicles in a manner consistent with racing shortly after leaving the downtown Athens area at about 2:30 a.m. The evidence demonstrated that both vehicles switched between lanes, blah, blah, blah. And so basically, Jalen Carter was either operating this vehicle or driving a vehicle with a teammate, and then that led to the fatal crash of um, the staff member and also a player on the Georgia team on January 15th. So that came out, and then he released a statement. Um, so basically, it was kind of fascinating because they all came out this morning, and on Wednesday, which is when we're recording, the D linemen are coming out and taking all these interviews, and like Jalen Carter's waiting to be interviewed. And this thing came out and he was just like gone. Like he was like going back to Georgia and not like doing any press conferences. Everyone's like waiting for him to come out. But he released a statement and he said this morning, and preface, it's on the notes app and also in all caps. So very aggressive as far as like just all caps whenever you say anything. Um, so he said, this morning I received a telephone call from the Athens, Georgia Police Department informing me that 2 misdemeanor warrants have been issued against me for reckless driving and racing. Numerous media reports also have circulated this morning containing inaccurate information concerning the tragic events of January 15th, 2023. It is my intention to return to Athens to answer the misdemeanor charges against me and to make certain that the complete and accurate truth is presented. There is no question in my mind that when all of the facts are known, that I will be fully exonerated of any criminal wrongdoing. Period. All caps. But the other part of this is what actually got leaked is that he um, was questioned by the police and then also like misled them, saying he was like, "Oh, I was like a mile away from this. Like I was out that night, but I wasn't near the crash. Like I have no idea what you're talking about." And so he kind of like misled the police. And then now it's coming back to him where there's an arrest warrant for a warrant for his arrest. And he has 2 misdemeanor charges. So it's interesting, just kind of like what it's going to do to impact his draft stock, and also just like there's a difference between someone that's going to be taken like the second or third round to where this comes out compared to like someone who is like the consensus number 1 overall pick as far as all the draft boards are concerned. So that's all the information that I got. All right, well, this is the annual time where I give my NFL draft QB rankings. Last year I think it was tough, right? Like I had my list. Matt Corral still has a chance. If you haven't looked at the Carolina Panthers QB roster, he is still live. Okay, hurt his ankle, on the roster still. Sam Darnold, do they bring him back? Do they draft a quarterback? Do they sign DC? Who's to say? But yeah, I'll give my QB draft rankings, and I know I've kind of touched on this a little bit, but like I did watch all 5 of these quarterbacks. Watch, I would say probably 3 of their games each individually, just to see kind of like if I could find some tendencies, things like that. And these are my rankings. Listen, I don't know if this is going to happen. Like I don't know if they're going to go in this order. Okay, this is how I see it, but I haven't been that wrong, if that makes sense, but I haven't been that right. So hopefully this year I can be partially right. Go ahead.
Look, everybody knows you got to give it 3 years to really actually be able to compare quarterbacks in a draft. 3 years.
And this is our 3rd year of the podcast, so it's
Yes,
like
exactly.
it's about time that you've given me 3 years to do the rankings, so this is Micah's time to be like, does he have it or not, right?
We're barely scratching the surface on whether Herbert and Tua are where that wasn't that 2020? Was that 2020?
Yes,
I think so.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyways, continue.
Regardless, Mike has given me 3 years, so this is basically like if I don't get it right here, it's like it's time for him to pull the hook and draft a new person that can rank the quarterback for the upcoming draft. So to start, I'm going to go 1 through 5. Okay, so number 1, this is the consensus: Bryce Young. Okay, Bryce Young out of Alabama, 5'11", 185. Here's some pros. Basically, he's the most. He has the highest upside with the highest floor. Okay, so regardless, you're either going to get a very good starter or a potential superstar, right? So he's a playmaker. He's someone that is always pass first. He is versatile, is able to like escape to the pocket, but also make some plays downfield. He has a very good arm, not a great arm, but I don't think that's um, the biggest need, right? So if you think about it, like look at Joe Burrow. Like, does he have a better arm than Mahomes or Allen? He does not, right? But he has a big enough arm to hit the right, basically to push down the field to make the right throws at the right time. This is Bryce Young, not like a pro player comp necessarily, but I think with his playmaking ability, his pocket presence, everyone is going to knock him on his size because I mean it says he's 5'11", 185. I think he's more like 5'10", a buck 75. Like he's probably going to beef up for. He's not throwing at the combine, right? So I'm not doing any of those things. So if anything, he's like, I'm just going to eat like 17 Big Macs a day and be like, wow, Bryce Young weighs in at 202. You know, it's like, oh, he's actually a lot bigger than we thought. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think ultimately, like the biggest knock on him is like he's small and short, and is he going to be able to maneuver through the pocket with and throw over his offensive lineman and throw over the defensive lineman that are trying to either block the pass or like come in a rush, right? But I would say, and Josh McDaniels actually touched on this in his press conference today or yesterday, basically saying like, hey, I don't, and because I think someone asked him about Bryce Young, he's like, I think you're able to scheme around that basically, like to where you're able to scheme your offense around like he has enough awareness, he has enough pocket mobility, he can throw with accuracy with different arm angles as well, right? So he can pinpoint it, and it doesn't matter whether it's here or here, here or here. As far as if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you guys are, it's like over the top, 3/4 sidearm. He can be accurate from different spots, so then that alleviates the issue as far as like, okay, what if like the defense lineman has his hand up and he's he's like rushing the passer and whatever your guard's getting blown up. So I think Young is able to escape. He makes a ton of plays. He's taken a lot of hits also, and I think he's durable in that sense. So I think he's overall the best prospect. He's a Heisman winner from 2 years ago. Um, the best prospect right now, and I think it's mostly because he has a very high ceiling and also a very high floor. You're regardless going to get a very good quarterback that's going to get you through the next 5 to 7 years. If not, he's going to be an all-pro based in. And it's all about situation, right? It's all about the offensive coordinator, head coach ish, right? And then the team that's built around them. So Bryce Young is my number one quarterback going into this. I mean, it's not. I don't need to expand on it that much, but it's like everyone's number one. So there you go.
Well, to be honest with you, like I love it and I completely agree with you. I think there's so much stuff circulating that like CJ Stroud's going to go number one. I'm seeing a lot of people being like Anthony Richardson is going to go a lot earlier than people think, and he may even go number one. It's like people just stir stuff up like around this time, and obviously the combine will shed some more light on other stuff. But I think yes, going like towards the end of the season or whatnot, absolutely consensus number one. Still think he is for the most part, but it feels like a lot of people are stirring things up about the other two, a couple other quarterbacks in
Right.
this whole
I mean,
thing. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's
it's
as like right now, don't know if it's as consensus as it has been the last 2 months.
exactly right, and that's a great point because like the QB position is like the most fascinating topic out there, right? And we're not fascinating, but like it's the one that's most talked about because there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. If you looked at it, the last 2 years, like 2 years, Will Anderson, consensus number one overall pick. But like outside of a quarterback, he's gonna be the number one overall pick. He crushed it I think it was his freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. I think he redshirted. So they're like boom. And then now he's like, yeah, he might fall between 6 and 12. It's like what? It's like this. It's like you kind of like get so used to someone that's so great, and like that's Bryce Young. Basically, it's like he was he 2 years ago he won the Heisman, right? And then this year he balled out. Alabama didn't get into the college football playoff, which really takes a limelight off of that basically. So it's like it's just hilarious. Like it's exactly what you're saying, where like the focus is like we got to find some other interesting thing to talk about, and it's like Bryce Young's the guy.
I think you definitely have someone in him who's probably going to be a second or third round guy, like you kind of mentioned. I think that with Richardson, I think people could value him at a top 15 pick or, the back end of round 2, or you know what I mean? Like it's so all over the place. It's kind of not that I'm comparing the two players at all, but comparing the situation with, like, remember when the Broncos were just so locked on Drew Lock, they were so linked to him that everyone was like, well, they're going to take him at 10 because he's a quarterback. They need a quarterback, and they're linked to him or whatnot. And then they ended up taking, he ends up just falling to the second round, and they do end up taking him, but not with their first round pick. It's just like these valuations are so wildly different when it comes to how teams actually value them and whatnot. But
Sorry, great reference, by the way. And I apologize to cut you off, but I want to just clarify something. These are my rankings, and what's different than last year is I had them like, okay, this is where they're going to go. I think Richardson is definitely going to be taken higher than Hooker for sure, and a lot of that has to do with his ACL and his age. So just want to clarify that. But those are just my rankings. Are not like, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't got much to say. Outside of that. I like your rankings. I'm sure we will dive into some more things after this combine ends. We'll see, if things bounce around, if they change, if they don't change, or what have you, just from any of this stuff. But QB rankings 1.0, love it, and
yeah, I'm only allowed a 2.0. I can change right before the draft. These are my rankings, guys. You can roast me. I might be wrong. I may be. Give Matt Corral a chance. Okay, that's all I'm saying, dude. Give him a chance.
Anyways, go check that out while you're subscribing to the YouTube account, while you're also hitting the bell notification so that every time a video gets downloaded or uploaded. So, yeah, that's all we got for this week. Any last words?
No, I just want to go on record to say that the ad read is very tough. I think everyone has seen me struggle through that, so do not shame Micah that much, but do watch that snippet, like, subscribe, rate, review, hit the bell, do your thing. Raider Nation, love you guys. Peace.